Here on the main table, we're looking at one of the title favourites, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. Aloysius Yapp. And his opponent in this match, Tkon, a guy who steadily improved his game. Very offensive player, but now can kind of pull back on the reins a bit. Two lefties we're going to have to start off this match, or this day 3, and getting down to that final 64 by the end of the day. And here's a guy that you can say is just Mr. Consistent, but also incredible at the same time, and always looking to hold the title no matter where he goes.
There you can hear around the hall here in the Telford International Centre all the matches getting underway simultaneously on all the different tables. That unique sound that you only get at the very start of the day, with all the tables firing the starting gun at the same time.
Yeah, Yapp, who's got a bit of a touchy shot here to start, but one that he really does quite often, a drag stroke here to kind of kill the ball. Really nice starter, and one that, like I said, sets up in his wheelhouse pretty well. I think he's got to come short side here on the purple 5, so he'll come 1 and then a soft second cushion to the upper right with the cue ball.
Ranked number 5 in the world, turned 29 just last week.
We've seen some breaking runs to start here on the opening, or excuse me, on the main table, but it sure is a nice way to start the match. Get a little feel of the table. Your opponent's in the chair. Obviously, you're usually pretty happy the way you broke the balls. And one thing that he does as well as anyone is he stays really in line with the cue ball. Very proper with his angles, and just a very smart player.
Come through the first couple of rounds relatively untroubled. Only lost 2 racks to Dimitris Tsiampanis of Greece, and then only 3 against Anthony Ginn, the British player. Well, you can't start a match better than this. Clinical, efficient. A break and run in the opening rack for Aloysius Yapp of Singapore. He leads Tan 1-0. So as I said, matches starting simultaneously across all the tables. On this Thursday morning, we've got a number of rounds to be played across the day, and they often overlap. Here on the main table, we're looking at action on the winner's side, but mostly it's on the loser's side. So if you're in winner's qualification, as you'll know if you've been following these tournaments over the years, basically you've got 2 attempts to get through to single elimination. Win this match and the job is done. Lose it, and you go over to the loser's side for one more shot later in the day. But there are so many advantages, Jeremy, to getting straight through undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not taking that loss, because a lot of times in a loss with these great players, they did fumble here and there, so not losing anything mentally or any kind of negative connotation moving forward. But, you know, percentage-wise, you figure to draw a little better if you stay undefeated, because you're going to draw into one of the players that had taken a loss in the early rounds. And, you know, we've had some great players go down here early already and been put on that one-loss side. But if you think long-term, you want to stay undefeated.
Yeah, and of course, if you've got a seeding, you keep it if you go through with 3 wins. Yapp off to a flyer.
Yeah, that break was even better. I don't know if it'll produce the results of the last, but better contact. I want a little more online to the side pocket. let's cut him off the blue 2. You know, and as much as any sport, this is a mental game, right? But and you want to be good physically. But this is a guy that doesn't want to make mistakes between the ears. Really leans on high percentage play, push out situations. And when push comes to shove, you know, making that little extra better judgment at times in crucial situations. Where I think when Antoine was a little more offensive, maybe a little looser with his shot selection, but that's where he's improved so much. I think it was you and I that talked about it yesterday. It may have been me and Phil that when Antoine would have closer matches at times than he really should because he would stay so offensive and maybe go for a hair of a low percentage play here and there and cost him some games. 2 rail escape here. And I think when Antoine did the right thing, passing this, and that's the beauty of the sport. I don't think Aloysius made any mistake with the push out, you know, that he gave. Trying to bring the keep the cue ball on the bottom as the 2 goes up table. We'll take that.
When Antoine, 36 years of age, 91st in the world rankings.
He's got a few shots here. Like I said, he's always going to look for something offensive to start. There is a bank to the lower left, a combination on the 2-3 that's probably pretty low percentage. He's hitting down on the ball, though, so maybe going for the bank. And you got to like a player that backs himself in those situations. Stays very offensive. Now Yapp looking for a cross corner bank. Doesn't want to elevate on a low percentage from distance, so he's going to try and play this to the lower right. Hard to hang this from this angle, so a little bit of a backdoor safety also.
Comes here in good form. He was playing in the Scottish Open just a few days ago and got to the final of it. Beaten there by Mickey Krause.
And the key to this bank, Michael, is don't baby it so much when you come across it. Go ahead and put a little speed. Like that, really nice. That way the bank holds its line really well.
Well, might be relatively early in the morning by pool player standards. Aloysius Yapp looks wide awake in these early stages.
Should just be one cushion towards the 8 and 9. Little right spin. Caught that a little heavy. Not surprising. A lot of area for the cue ball there. And I think he still has the cut shot in the side, but now he's got to worry about the cue ball going by the 6. Little mispositional error, excuse me, is going to get Win Antoine back out of his chair, you would think anyways. Looks like Mr. Yapp's going to edge this 6 ball and run the cue ball up table. Well, I'm so glad that we can see a few of these extra screens. I'm interested to see how Van Berkel does in this match. I think it's a match he can win against Thorsten Holm.
Must be about 30 years or so between the two of those guys.
I think at least. Yeah, probably about 30.
don't need the screens, Jeremy. As I've often remarked, you have an amazing ability to not only keep an eye on, but closely follow about 20 matches at a time.
Yeah, but that's when we're elevated usually.
Fair point.
We have that beautiful overhead perspective. But all right, perfect there to hold the cue ball behind the 8 and 9. No luck in that. Very well struck.
Said he turned 29 last week, but it feels like he should be older, doesn't it? Because he's been around for such a long time. World Under-19 champion over a decade ago, and reached the World Championship quarterfinals when he was still a teenager.
I think he hit that exactly how he wanted, really trying to drift the cue ball down table. Gets the 6 out in space with the 7 over on the side cushion. Nothing easy here, especially someone that hasn't got to shoot a lot of shots offensively anyways. I think I play safe here. Overcut the 6 and run the cue ball 2 cushions. He's going though. So talented though.
He's had a bit more difficulty getting through the first couple of rounds than Yapp. Beat Andrew Fan of Britain 9-4 in the first round, but then a very close one in round 2 against Marco Teutcher. Came through at 9-7 though, and it's a fine win. Teutcher, always a dangerous player. He's beaten some of the very biggest names over the last few years.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice win really for Tkon, and maybe good that it was a close one also. That can be a benefit, believe it or not. All right, he's got to bear down on the 8. The cue ball's going into the 9 a bit. Easy to take your eye off the 8.
Nicely done, and just a formality now. So 2 very different racks to start us off, and they've had 2 different outcomes. And so Tkon draws level at 1 each. Of course, he's part of the Vietnamese pool boom that we've seen on the tour in recent years. So many players coming through. And of course, one of the standout events of every year now, the Hanoi Open. At the same time of year, we'll be going back there to the Vietnamese capital from the 7th of October. The 3rd staging of the Hanoi Open. Jason Shaw was the inaugural winner in that dramatic final against Albin Ocean. And Johan Chua, the champion of 2024. It really has become, very quickly, Jeremy, one of the highlights of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fans make it just so amazing. The venue's incredible. Every day is just a spectacle outside of fans wanting just any kind of attention from these players, and the players have been great as well.
Yeah, and speaking of the fans, they can take part in the Race to 5K that Matchroom are now trying to introduce alongside all of these events. There was one here just yesterday, a big success. What other sport do you get that where there's a chance for the fans and people behind the scenes to rub shoulders with the very biggest stars? So that'll be on the menu in Hanoi as well. I remember the first year we went there, because it was so busy where we were, I assumed we were in the centre of Hanoi. And then it turned out we were actually half an hour outside of it. It's just a colossal place.
Yeah, some 100+ pool rooms. And not just, small places, 60 tables, 70 tables, 80 tables in some places, and very busy. They love their 9-ball pool.
So Wen's first break of the match is the first dry break from either player.
Keeps it on the soft side here. Just trying to use the 4 and 5. Yeah, like that. Trying to hit the left side a little bit. Just as containing as you can.
become a regular in these events when Antoine got to the last 32 of the World Championship a couple of years ago.
Nice one rail hit. I mean, one rail escapes usually aren't that difficult, but that one was not easy and did real well. Where does he go from here with the cue ball? Trying to edge this? This is dangerous. Yeah, I didn't understand that one, Michael. Didn't see the value in the shot, really. Not only the danger in the shot, but really never getting any kind of devastating snooker at all. Could have pushed the one away and brought it behind the three. Obviously, whenever you don't execute, it makes any decision look a little worse, but that one baffled me a bit. Wiped its feet as it went in the pocket. Little things, you know, rack number 2. That misposition on the purple 5 in the side caused Yapp to have to play a shot to go. Oh, this is going to be short. Is he going to move enough? He's got to kind of kill the cue ball. Should be okay, though. But he missed position on that 5. He had to bump the 6. A little unlucky not to get a shot, but had to play the safety. And Antoine plays a nice kick shot. Gets control and now has a chance to get an early lead. Just maintain the angle on the 8 as you come up the table. Maybe a hair more than he wanted, but shouldn't be a problem. Lefty's got a bit of a stretch. He's got to get into this. He wants to come past the side. Careful.
So Yapp raced through the first rack. Let the second get away from him a bit. Wen has taken this one, so 2 in a row for him, and he leads for the first time at 2-1. So this is what's happening on table 1. On the other main tables, well underway. You can see table 2, Torsten Homan, 2-time champion of the world, has won the opening rack against Mika van Berkel. And then on table 3, David O'Cady in an all-Spanish clash with Salvador Garcia. And it's not going the way you might expect early on, because O'Cady at the table currently 2-0 down.
I'd have to look it up, but and we didn't get to see it being in the booth, but Garcia had a real nice win in the first round. Maybe it was the second round, but I thought against a player he was probably a little underdog against. But now trying to give his countrymen, his famous countrymen, all he can handle.
Yeah, he beat Riku Rompainen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was in his first match. And then British player Terry Challenger in his second.
Yeah, maybe not, you would say, a big upset against Riku, but Riku seems to play really well in these events as a young man. And I wasn't totally shocked when I saw Garcia with that win, but I thought Riku would get it.
2-1 to Wen Antoine.
A little unlucky, hit him pretty well. I mean, 3 on the break. And speaking of 3, the 3 pin behind the 9, so probably a push out.
Could have made 5 on the break there. There were a couple of others that had a good look.
I He's got a little piece. This works out nice to hide him behind the 4 and 6 as the cue ball goes up table. Now he's got to push out, so there is no piece in the 3. I wonder where he's pushing out to here. Didn't take much time, and I don't see a lot of future. Unless he's given up a good portion of this 3 where Yapp can roll it past the pink. Which if he's done that, he's rolled out poorly, but otherwise I think he gets this back.
Antoine looking for 1 win to make single elimination. 2 chances to get it today, should he need them. And if he does get through, he'll be 2 out of 2 in terms of making the single elimination phase in Matchroom Open events this year. Got to the last 64 at the European Open. Lost there to Albin Ocean, former winner of that title.
Well, that's just a great touch. Anytime you're aiming at just a small portion of the ball and you're trying to draw it, hard to control the cue ball off a thinner head, and easy to overhit the ball, it seems. And he settled in nicely here early, went Antoine. Go for a 2-way here if he wanted to bank at this cross corner and bring the cue ball behind the 4 and 6. I think he just goes safety. Might go for the bank though. Yeah, he just went safety. Cue ball's a little hot, so he's going to give up a portion of the 3.
Yapp was looking very much in control of things early on, but real possibility he's going to be multiple racks behind in just a moment.
Yeah, they definitely should be, and a nice shot there on the 3, coming some 4 cushions for position on the 4. And besides having to use the bridge there, everything else pretty easy here in rack number 4.
So, started this 4th rack by making 3 balls off the break. And he's finished it by depositing the 9 in the corner. 3 in a row for Wen Antoine. He now leads Aloysius Yapp, unexpectedly, by 3 racks to 1. Torsten Homan now 2-1 up on Mika van Berkel over on table 2. And David Alcaides pulled one back against Salvador Garcia on table 3. Garcia's lead is now down to 2-1. So they're the matches currently going on the winner's side. On the loser's side, so much action. And of course, some players are still in losers round 2, which means they've got to find 3 wins today and can't afford any defeats. Yannick Pongers, who we saw on the main table at the European Open, 3-0 up against Saman Gholami of Britain. Marco Teucher there, who lost to Wen Antoine in the second round. Got a 2-1 lead over the Scot, Fraser Patrick. Christian Surdea, who we saw on the main table against Jason Shaw yesterday, has won the first couple of racks against Christian Merva. Elliot Sanderson, one of the best of the UK contingent, 3-1 up against compatriot Luke Hart. Mark Capito there of the Philippines with a 3-1 lead over Mexico's Rafael Martinez, a returning name from the past, JJ.
Yeah, big name from the past as well, with a lot of game, and just hasn't worked out. I haven't got to see him play. I really, really want to see him play, and I've been in the booth when he's been out there on the tables, and I would guess he's still got it. You know, I don't think, knowing him, I don't think he comes all this way if he thinks he's just a buy, and I'm not sure his age, but he's got to be about 60, I think, or so.
So 3 breaks from Wen Antoine so far in this match, and 2 of them have been dry.
Yeah, an awkward 1 ball here. It wouldn't be so awkward, but the 5 is kind of impeding a little bit of the cue ball movement. And anytime you play a player like Wen Antoine that's got so much offensive power, you know, and you let a little something get away, and you know, the break hasn't worked for Tkon yet, but it can be a little jarring no matter how solid you are. Be a little jarring as an opponent. And he's going to get a shot here on the 2. Not sure how much he's going to like it considering the 3-7, but it is playable, the combination. I kind of like the cut myself, coming 2 cushions around for the 3-7. This is where a lot of players, and this is the difference in levels, I think. Your amateur might say, oh, a little buried safety behind the 7, but this level, if you have a chance to clear, that's the best play, really. Big favorite on the combination here. 3's going to slide a little bit off the 7. Is he dragging this? Just trying to hold the ball? Yeah, nice shot.
One of the most surprising things about these matchroom tournaments in 2024 was how little Aloysius Yapp did in them. Certainly as far as the individual events are concerned. Didn't get past the last 32 in any of the big field events last year. Did reach the last 32 of this UK Open, lost to Piers Labutis, who went on to the semi-finals, and also that stage at the European Open, where he was beaten by Daniel Massiol, who subsequently made it to the quarters. Beaten in the last 64 of the World Championship by Mohamed Soufi, last 64 of the US Open by Jan van Lierop in a hill-hill finish. So surprising not to see him make the later stages of any of those tournaments in all of last year.
Yeah, you're going to have one of those seasons, and it's no matter how great you are, that's just how tough it is. A 9-ball, those balls can roll against you at times, and just got to keep pressing on. But very, very surprising, especially a guy I would label as Mr. Consistent, along with great, of course. But I like that there, being more aggressive, getting closer to the 6. No reason to lay up near the head string or something like that. Just that extra foot or so closer makes you so much more comfortable. You know, we talk about technique, and I've definitely watched this guy's technique for a long time, and I think he's made another little change. Therefore, on certain shots, he would have a heavy pause in the back that he kind of developed the last year and a half, 2 years maybe. And tell you what, I haven't seen it once here in this match. There it is. That's the one I was talking about.
So Wen didn't get away with the dry break this time. And after losing 3 racks in a row, Aloysius Yapp has taken that one to get back to just 1 behind again at 3-2. Torsten Homan has won the 4th rack to now lead Mika van Berkel 3-1. No change on table 3. Salvador Garcia still leading David Al-Kadi 2-1. Yannick Pongers, who we saw really fall away from a very strong position, loses match on the main table in Sarajevo. He's gone well today, 5-0 up against Salman Bolami. And Adam Smith there, one of the British players, with a 3-2 lead over Alvin Anjito, one of the Indonesian players who are starting to make an impact on the tour over the last 12 months or so. Sebastianov of Finland cruising against Sergio Lagunas Moreno, 6-1 in that one now. And Mustafa Alnar, player who's had some really big tournaments and big results over the last couple of years, but 2-1 down early on against Ahmed Al-Dolaimi. Yeah, breaking, looking to get back level here.
A solid break off with the 1 down. He's going to get a good look at the 2. Don't think it's going to be anything offensive, but you never know. Very handy in the safety department. Missed one earlier that was a big one, I thought, but you know, as he keep it more simple on the safety, just kind of bang the 2 to the top rail, bring the cue ball behind the 8 and 9.
Been around for some time. When he reached the last 64 of the World Championship 12 years ago now, then we didn't hear a great deal about him over the years that followed, but as I said, he's played a lot more events on the tour over the last couple of seasons.
Got to label him as an underdog in this match. Not a huge underdog in this race tonight, of course. Very, very talented player when Antoine. But every little thing's happening here early. Kicking out of the safeties, not giving up a shot so much. That little mistake, that little help mistake there from Yapp, and that missed safety and gave up ball in hand, and some little things to put Antoine in a good position here early in this match. Not sure what he's looking at here. Shooting at this combo? Okay, he's 3-0 this round. Smart shot. This is going to give up a look, though, and this is what I mean. Little things happening in this match to set up nicely a possible upset or at least a very close contest as we move forward. I thought he had the rail first at least. Obviously not a big underdog on this jump.
Acknowledgement of the balls coming to rest in a not entirely unfavourable position from Wen's point of view. when you look at the guys who haven't won one of these really big matchroom titles over the years, and you rank them in order of how likely they'd be to make that breakthrough, Yapp would be pretty much at the very top of that list.
Yeah, I'd have to go through and think about it a little bit, but he's definitely one of the top 2 or 3, you would think. Try and think about it over the next couple minutes, and you do the same, Michael. We'll come up with a few other names, I think, but yeah, Yapp's way up there.
And what about Wen Anton then? He's someone who, as we've said, gets through to single elimination a lot, but seems to struggle to get much further. Is he someone who's capable of stringing together enough wins to reach even, say, a quarter-final or a semi in one of these events?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he had to, you know, I think before he needed some things to go right, you know, maybe some help along the way, but I think he's improved percentage-wise. Tactically, he's improved. I think the break's good enough for sure, but I'll be honest with you, Michael. I mean, I'm looking at it. I felt like if I played a while, I could possibly play well enough to get to one of those deep runs, and I think these guys are way better than me, you know. So that's just how 9-ball pool is. If you stay confident, you know, you're prepared. You know, sometimes it's going to give you a chance to shine for one reason or another, and I think Wen Anton, I think he could win one of these events, to be fair. I mean, look at our Final Four last year. I mean, I would say as a whole, they're probably more solid than Wen Anton, you might say, but talent-wise, I don't see any of them better.
Certainly it was a year for players jumping out of the pack and winning big titles. Robbie Capito here, Mickey Kraus, the European Open as well. Things like that are bound to give hope to guys a bit down the rankings, the guys who keep coming to these events and get wins here and there. And that step up, becoming a tournament winner, can be made, and can actually be made quite quickly if your game comes on sufficiently.
That was a sweater as the cue ball spun towards that corner, but yeah, I look at it, you know, like golf also. I think there's tournaments every year that we see somebody break through, but then you have years to where many breakthrough. I thought PGA Tour last year was a lot of breakthrough guys, where this year it seems like the cream of the crop's getting there a little more often, but last year was definitely that for the World 9-ball Tour. A lot of guys that have been putting in the time and certainly know that they're super talented. Just, you know, things fell right and they performed when they needed to.
And you even think of Chua, who I guess would have had a bigger reputation going into last year than either Capito or Kraus. But the fact was he hadn't yet really done it in individual events on the World 9-ball Tour until 2024.
Yeah, what people don't realize is those nerves out there when you get down to crunch time and in our delicate sport the way it is, it's hard to get across that finish line, especially if you're up against guys that have gone through, you know, those growing pains already.
When you could see they're very frustrated at having to leave the table, passing up the chance to go a couple of racks clear again. Instead, it's Yapp who's going to make it 2 in a row and draw level.
Yapp didn't look too happy with that stroke there on the 8. Probably have a little talk with himself moving forward.
So it's 3-all. Torsten Homan is striking a blow for the older guys. 4-1 up on Mika van Berkel. Table 3 involved in an epic 4th rack. Salvador Garcia 2-1 up on David O'Cady. We can also bring you table 5. Yannick Pongers, who we saw looking so impressive in that match against Tobias Bongers on the main table at the European Open, then just fell apart at the end and went on to lose it. He's flying again today, 6-0 up on Salman Ghalami. Have you seen much of Pongers, Jeremy? Looks like he's got a huge amount of talent.
Yeah, a little bit. Saw a little in that match in Sarajevo. So many youngsters with talent, I tell you, it's pretty amazing, really. And as the sport grows more and more, what you'll find, just like golf, is you're going to find more of those athletes leaning towards some pool, and I think the game's going to get even more elevated. Not saying these guys aren't great athletes, but you know what I mean. Just like as a whole, more what you label athletic people playing in pool.
Yeah, Pongers, of course, following in the very strong Dutch tradition in the game. Meanwhile, Yapp has had his first dry break from 4 in this match.
Yeah, and if you noticed on that replay, the 9 kind of came out of the rack quickly, and that's a sign that, you know, maybe it wasn't totally intact, the rack. It doesn't always have to mean much, but he's played some nice safeties. He's done some things to get in position, to get control. Don't let that leave you. He's queuing down. He had an eye at the 9 ball here. Maybe banking at the 1, trying to slide the cue ball into the 9. And like right there, for instance, right? He didn't, I don't know if you saw it, but watch him trying to draw the cue ball at the 9 here. He caught the point. But, you know, in a professional kind of decision-making thing there, I don't mind the bank on the 1, but go ahead and ignore the 9 and play position on the 2. These little things, you never know how they may add up as far as giving up games and maybe giving up many. May get a roll here, may give up a combination on the 9. We'll see. Ooh, this kiss shot may go rail first. Now Yapp's got to play this with some right spin. Got to come in and catch about, I don't know, 25% of the 2, and then let the right spin take over and kiss the 9 in the corner.
Talked about it not being a great year for him in the matchroom events in an individual context in 2024, but he already had enough points in the bank from early on in the qualification process to be on the Asian team for the inaugural Reyes Cup, and ended up being its star performer as the only player to win all his singles and doubles. Both of his singles matches, 3 doubles matches. It all finished for him with that win over Francisco Sanchez Ruiz to clinch the winning point and make himself MVP in Manila.
Yeah, that Reyes Cup, he just got better and better. There's that right spin. And a great shot there to take another lead.
Yeah, quick finish then to rack 7. And he leads for the first time since it was 1-0. 3 in a row for the man from Singapore as we look at the winning moment again. Yeah, the only match when he was on the losing side in that Reyes Cup was the opening team match where Europe came from 4-0 down to win on the very first night. So across the singles, doubles and the team matches, he came out on the right side in all of his last 7 matches. And that's not something that happens very often in events like that.
No, and if you go back and watch, the outs and the racks got tougher, and he just got better and better as the event went on. He made some incredible shots. 3 ball he made off the end rail in that last match, and then of course a couple other incredible shots to close that match and close the the Reyes Cup.
Yeah, and you look at how well received that was and the occasion that it was in Manila. That was the inaugural staging. I'd say it took the Mosconi Cup maybe 10 years or more to get to the level the Reyes Cup is already at after only 1 year, and having been there in Manila, you can tell there's potential for much further growth in the coming years. 4-3 to Yapp.
He's been losing the cue ball downward quite a bit off the break. That one looked like a little bit of a kiss on the cue ball. We'll see off that first rail. Caught the bottom of the 9. It was pretty good, actually. All right, we'll see how he's feeling. Does he want to attack on a real long ball here? Position is on offer, though.
Salvador Garcia won that lengthy 4th rack, so he now leads David O'Cady 3-1.
got a couple easy safety options. That's why he's really kind of considering not shooting at the 2, because there is some ways to play safe. I think he's going to go for a safety, actually. Now, Katie's another one of those guys that you just forget about sometimes until he's down there to win the tournament.
Yeah, well, it's gone through a bit of a difficult run about 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden won a small tournament in Scotland, and that seemed to set him up so well for going to Fulda. And he took out the European Open, that memorable final against Anton Raga.
Yeah, it was an incredible atmosphere there. Both players really showed up and gave us one of the epic finals of the World Handball Tour. All right, he went for the make. Took a long time to make that decision, so you feel like there was a hair of doubt.
That performance that Yapp produced at the Reyes Cup really seemed to turn around his year in an individual sense as well. Soon after that, he won the International Open for the 2nd year in a row, an event not one of the true majors, but very similar to this. Retained his title there, beat Moritz Neuhausen in the final. Then got to a couple more finals in the smaller ranking events before 2024 was out, although he lost them both.
Well, he's a lot like Jason Shaw. Really likes that East Coast of America in the fall. He won that Battle of the Bull event, you know, right before taking down that first international in what would have been 2023. And he went on to win it again, and always looks to end that year strong.
I think those guys should just go into hibernation in January and sort of emerge around about August. They ended up being respective MVPs of 2 big intercontinental team events towards the end of 2024.
I'm not sure you want it there. Gotta watch out now. Don't let the 3 catch the side pocket here when you're trying to get this snooker. Stuff, I think. Did get the snooker. It's really unfair how great these players are with the jump cue, Michael. I mean, just really don't see the value in some of the good safeties, it seems like. Right there, going over ball at close quarters with the 3 so far away to be able to control the hit and hold the cue ball and bang the 3 around. Just on another level, these players. Beauty there. Wanted a little bump on the 4. It's okay.
Do you think many of the top players have specific practice sessions with the jump cue where they'll just play nothing but jump shots for, I don't know, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, whatever?
100%, yeah. Without a doubt. Last year at that US Open, before the final, I was watching the practice tables with Federer and Shane, and Federer's last 15-20 minutes was all jump shots before he teed it off, and it was an incredible final. And it was a jump shot that we all remember to make a huge difference. may play it more simply here and just bang the 4 on the left side rail, put the cue ball on the right side rail, just get as much containing as he could. This fell right on the 50. See a little shake of the head. Hard to play for the corner or the side. May go for the bank here if you feel like, you know, cross corner and kind of shove the cue ball forward. Otherwise, I'm not really sure what he's doing. Going up and down here. Need some help. You got it.
This is timely for when Antoine got himself into a strong position early on. He lost 3 racks in a row. The opportunity came along at a good moment here. It's a moment that he's risen to. When Antoine then, with the 9 in the side, gets us level again at 4 racks apiece.
Michael, I think it was Phil I talked to, that him and Carl have made their picks for this tournament. Phil's was Yapp, and of course Carl going with Filler. Did you happen to get in the mix of that? I haven't really made a pick yet.
Yeah, we'll definitely be taking Filler, but I think our standard rules are first come, first served, so give me a moment to think about that. Which American are you going for?
I'm not sure. I kind of feel like trending a little bit, going with someone who's played really well. Maybe a breakthrough player in one of these events. I don't know. Let me give it to you at the end of this match. I'm kind of leaning a little Daniel Maciel, maybe.
Yeah, he's been talked about as someone who could win one of these. Had his best performance in one of these tournaments last time out in Sarajevo, getting to the semis.
Yeah, I love the way he breaks the balls. I love his demeanor. I think making that deep run can only help.
Four all then. And again, he's getting what he wants out of the break. 3 drive from 4 attempts. Well, if I can't have one German, I'll go for the other one, or it's Neuhausen. I know it's not the most left field thing to say after his performance at the Premier League, but I'll be honest, I think I might have been saying it anyway, because I think he's just got everything in his locker to win one of these tournaments.
I'll tell you, if I'd have thought of him, I'd have probably picked him, to be honest with you. That's, love the kid. And that's why I was saying I need to think a little bit, but you got it. You snagged it, and a fair snag it was. And a good one also. I think it was you and I talked about him earlier this week, that you know, you lose in the tournament, you don't know how to sometimes react to it or respond to it after getting knocked out, especially as a young man trying to figure things out. You know, that PLP had so many ups and downs, to where you don't know if you're in the event, if you're going to be out of the event. You got to wait on other results. And in the end, he came good with the goods and played some exceptional pool. And I think that can only do real well for him moving forward here in 2025.
Yeah, I've had some nice conversations with Moritz over the last couple of years, and he strikes me as someone who just takes everything in his stride. So wouldn't be overwhelmed, I think, by the prospect of winning a big title. And the experience that he had in that World Cup a couple of years ago, where he had his mate Joshua Filler to sort of guide him along a bit, I think that will really stand to him if he gets close to winning a big title.
Well, he's got a great demeanor, but he's also so funny. He wants to experience all these different things, you know, whether some of them not so good. And we talked a lot at the PLP, and of course when we're around each other we talk, but he's like, yeah, I'm on tilt right now. And you know, he's willing to face those things and kind of work through them instead of ignoring them. And I think that's a great sign of a guy that's certainly going to be a champion. Beautiful cue ball there. Just creeping into position perfectly. You wouldn't always know it, but Mort's a pretty witty guy as well. Really funny.
Yeah, I remember chatting to him a lot between the matches that week in Lugo when he got to that World Cup final with Germany, and he's just got a very refreshing personality and way about him. Someone else who's looking to win one of these big matchroom events for the first time is Aloysius Yapp. He's in all likelihood now going to lead this match once again. Been close, of course, got to the US Open final back in 2021. Had a substantial lead against Carlo Biado. That one got away from him. He's also been to the World Cup final with Singapore unexpectedly the following year in partnership with Tony Han. Lost that final to Spain. He's going to reclaim the lead here. Good rack put together there by Aloysius Yapp. He edges ahead once more at 5-4. Torsten Homan is close to the line now against Mika van Berkel, the young Dutch player. Homan now leading 6-2. David Alcade has won the 5th rack to get back to just one behind against Salvador Garcia at 3-2. In on that one now, actually. While we do, I'll give you some of the latest scores from the loser side. Christian Surdea of Romania, 3-2 behind against Christian Merva. Elliot Sanderson on the brink at 7-2 now against Luke Hart. Remember, it's race to 8 on the winner's side. Sorry, on the loser side, except in the final round. Long Duc Tien, 5-3 up on British player Matthew Wrigley. And Marco Teucher just ahead of Fraser Patrick, 4-3 in that one. Petri Mäkinen, semi-finalist last year, but 4-2 down against Kostas Koukiadakis of Greece. Even if Mäkinen does get through that, he's still got to find 2 more wins to make single elimination once again. In round 3 on the loser side, Chang Yung Lin, 4-3 down to Martin Degler of Canada.
Who beat him? Who beat Chang? I wonder to start. I know he was in somewhat of a close one in his first match, but pulled it out, I thought. But
yeah, it was Andri Januarta.
Okay.
Young Indonesian player, beat him hill in his second match.
Well, that's an understandable loss. See, David taking a lot of time here, and this happens with David when he gets on the tables with no shot clock at times. And pretty routine safety here. And just kind of knocked the one between the 3 and 9 and from 2 rails to the back of the 8 and 3. Looks very natural to me, but David sees something he doesn't like so much. Looks like that's what he's going to do. Now going the other way, so not sure we're going to get a look at a shot here on table 3 before we move away back to the main table.
He knows we're watching, just waiting until our attention is elsewhere.
Yeah, he's gotten down at what I thought was the right shot about 4 or 5 times and keeps getting up off the ball. Figure he's going to weld him to the back of the 8 and 3 here. Yeah, just like that. There was never really an issue there. I'm not sure why it took so long for him to deliver the cue.
We talk a lot about the likes of Shaw and Filler in recent years with the run of European successes in the Mosconi Cup. But David O'Cady, in his own quiet way, is steadily building up a wonderful Mosconi Cup history himself. He's actually played in more Mosconis than anybody else on either side without ever being on a losing team.
Yeah, what's he got now? 5 or 4? 4?
I think it might be 6 now.
Oh, 6, okay.
Yeah. Did play in a tied match.
Yeah. 2006, was it?
Yeah. It was his debut. He had a chance to win it, actually, and lost to Corey Jewell. 17 years later, he finally got his chance to clinch the cup again, and this time took it.
Yeah, it was amazing, really, David. Like in 22, he had played a real rough match, and then in the most big moment, the very next match up, he would just play lights out. And just a savvy veteran, really.
Another player with a lot of good history over the last few years in team events is Aloysius Yapp, and he's leading 5-4.
Okay, this cue ball's going to open up. It's a little thin on the 2, but not bad at all. Look at it, look here how the 3 ball came to rest. Is there a pocket available? I don't know. He's got to kind of ease this to hold for the 3 in the side. The reason being is the 4's up table, so if he gets the wrong angle, could be problems.
And just as Wen did in rack 4, Yapp making 3 off the break.
Like he held that angle nicely, caught the 3 a little thick to the the 2 a little thick to the pocket, which helped actually hold for this proper angle. Looks like he can go forward to the cushion.
Seen a break and run from either player since Yapp had his in the very first rack. Yapp closes in on a 6-4 lead. We can look once again at Yannick Pongers. We arrive just in time for the clinching moment against Summon Galami. 8-3, Pongers winning. Had that big disappointment. He lost from a strong position against Tobias Pongers in Sarajevo. He's still punching in the UK Open. So Yapp has never been more than a rack in front in this match. Until now, he's put together a very strong 10th rack there. And now just 3 away from victory. He leads Wen Antoine 6-4. Mika van Berkel has won the 9th rack on table 2, and he needed to. Still got a lot of work to do to turn that one around against Torsten Homan. German leading 6-3. You know, Mateusz Sniagotsky and Joshua Filler might be waiting a long time to get their match underway because it's very slow going on table 3. David O'Cady at the table looking to draw level with Salvador Garcia at 3-all. Fraser Patrick and Marco Teutcher also involved in a close one. That's 4-all on the loser's side. Adam Smith now with a 5-3 lead over Alvin Angito. And Young Lin continuing to struggle against Canada's Martin Daigle, although as I say that, he's just got one back to trail by only a single rack at 5-4. Mustafa Alnar starting to pull away against Ahmed Al-Dulaimi. It's 5-2 now to the Turkish player. Long Duc Tien of Vietnam just ahead of Britain's Matthew Wrigley at 5-4. Keeping an eye also on table 4, Petri Mäkinen, who was one match away from getting to the final here last year. But in real danger now against Kostas Koukiadakis at 5-2 behind. Back to the main table then. Yapp, a couple clear, looking to make a surge for the line.
He's going to love this, making the 1 and the 2 cue ball up table with the red 3. He's got 2 breaking runs so far in this match, and until he's set up for a third.
You mentioned his struggles in the big field matchroom events in 2024. Well, he's already improved on that this year, because he did make the last 16 of the European Open in Sarajevo back in March. Lost there to Pius Labutis. And he was in the Premier League as well, of course, and got to the final day, only missed out in the semis on racks lost.
Trying for another breaking run here in a 3-game separation. You feel a lot better about than 2. It's only 1 more, but it seems like exponentially. It seems like a lot more protection in just 2 games, but we're halfway through in this match, in this race tonight. Both these players will be back regardless of the outcome here. One will have to win another match on the 1-loss side to make that final 64. Still in good position, both of them, to make that single elimination. David Al-Kaidi did not get out in that game with just a few of them. It seemed like a few throw-ins, really, to make it 3-3. Made a mistake along the lines, and now Salvador Garcia with a 4-2 lead. Mistake from here. It's going to be another breaking run to get to 7-4. I believe all this started with a dry break and a scratch by Win Antoine at 4-4, if I remember correctly. So I wouldn't say maximum punishment, but a lot of punishment for that scratch on the break.
Very quickly, Yapp has taken a firm grip on this match. Back-to-back breaking runs, that one very swift indeed. And all of a sudden, he's just a couple away from a place in single elimination. Now, with some of the losers' matches from the 10 o'clock session now having finished, there are some other matches in winners' qualification just about to get started. Ryuki Oi, runner-up in the European Open a couple of months ago now, playing Finland's Jani Uski. And that one's just about to start on table 10. And Daniel Maciol, who also went very far in Sarajevo, getting to the semis. About to get started against the former World Masters winner, Alexander Kazakis. And we'll have our final 64 complete by tonight. Each of the 32 who comes through on the winner's side will face someone who's come through from the loser's part of the draw. And then it's single elimination all the way, 1 round in each session. So you've got to play 2 matches a day all the way through to Sunday evening to become the winner of the 4th UK Open. Be no surprise if it's this man holding the trophy come Sunday night. He's very much on top in this match now. 7-4, Yapp leads.
tell you, the 2's up by the cue ball again. The 3's a little funny. He's gonna have to find a pocket for the red 3, but can't be in any better position to continue this run and put a little 3-pack together. Again, I'm trying to find a pocket for the 3, and I don't see many.
It's the 3rd rack in a row he's made multiple balls off the break.
And it looks like it plays in the right middle, and he's got a perfect angle on the 2. Just kind of roll off the 2 with like a high right English and spin down what would be 1 and 2 soft cushions to hold for the 3 in the right middle. The speed looks pretty good. Maybe needs to go a hair. No, that's pretty ideal. So again, it was a dry break at 4-4. So maybe Yapp does this anyways, but that scratch along with it has really got the man from Singapore going.
Into a bit of a procession now, and it didn't look like being this sort of a match. Remember, he was 3-1 down early on. See this too often nowadays with the way the game has changed over the last couple of years. Breaking rules and the pockets. To be a hat-trick of breaking runs from Aloysius Yapp. He's won 7 of the last 8 racks now, and if he wins 1 more, he will be through to single elimination at the UK Open.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that a little more on the TV table. Plays a little drier, maybe a hair more forgiving at times. But that's 4 breaking runs, and that'll get the job done quite often.
Yeah, 4 in total, because of course he started the match with 1. Now, some of the matches we've been keeping a close eye on. Chang Yong Lin has now got level with Canada's Martin Degla at 5-all. Mustafa Alnar a couple in front against Ahmed Al-Dulaimi, 5-3. They're both in losers round 3. Nicholas Dorr 5-4 up on Sullivan Clark. In losers round 2, you've got Marco Teutcher just ahead of Scotland's Fraser Patrick at 5-4. Long Duc Tien leading by the same score against his British opponent, Matthew Wrigley. Christian Surdea, who was out in the main table yesterday playing Jason Shaw, 5-2 down today against Christian Merva. So 1 more of those will do just nicely for Aloysius Yapp. Having been level at 4-all a short time ago, he's suddenly on the hill, 4 clear.
Missed the one on the side, and I don't know if he's giving up a good look. I know he can get at the one a little bit. I'm not sure if he has really looked to make the one.
The second time in the match that Yapp hasn't made the one off the break.
Yeah, you know, it can be a little funny, these matches sometimes, because, you know, he's breaking, he's making 2-3 balls, getting out, now he dry breaks, and of course there's 9 balls on the table for the incoming player, and always going to be a more difficult out with more balls on the table. Sometimes you don't even get a look. Tell you, our European Open champion from a couple years ago. He's in a tough one after that mistake at 3-2. And looks like Salvador Garcia in position to advance to 5-2 maybe.
Yeah, David Al-Kaidi struggling early on in that one. Garcia needs 7, 8, and 9 and should get them over on table 3.
Watching Thorsten this week. I've seen him on the outer tables on some of the screens we've seen, and he looks really solid this week. The timing looks very good in the stroke. I'm just surprised if he makes some noise moving forward in this UK Open.
Yeah, Torsten Homan just a few balls away now from leading 7-3 over Mika van Berkel.
Tkon needs it. Not sure what he has here. Maybe something offensive. Yeah, caught it a little thick, and this is going to serve up a chance to end this match.
Well, if he does finish it here, Yapp will have quite a wait before playing again. The rest of the day off and sit and watch the draw tonight. Return tomorrow for the last 64. Homan has gone 7-3 against Mika van Berkel. Salvador Garcia took his chance as well. So breaking now with a 5-2 lead over David Al-Kaidi.
And Yapp's falling a little funny here. He's kind of straight. No problem getting on the 5, but get on the 5 proper to make things easy to get on the 6. Once he gets in that position, this match is over. A little more speed just to inch the cue ball off the cushion. May elevate here and play the 6 from underneath. Kind of that funny angle to try and get above the 6, so I like him digging on the cue ball. Where it's at now would be awesome. Decided to play from the other side, but very natural to come across for the 7, all about pocketing the 6.
That should be that now. To a good start, was looking very sharp early on, had that break and run in the opening rack, and then struggled to really press on from there, losing the next 3 racks. From 4-all, he's pulled away. And that run of 3 break and runs in a row. So I was saying, you don't see all that often nowadays.
No, not at all, and I think when Antoine's playing well, he needs to get better on the breaking in if he's going to advance in this final 64. He's got to win a match a little later on, but just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, the break was an issue for him. Had 3 drawing ones from the 4 he had during the match. But overall, from Aloysius Yapp, this has been a very competent performance. And with that run of 5 in a row, Aloysius Yapp wins by 9 racks to 4. We'll see him again tomorrow in the single elimination phase of the UK Open.